Today, our movie recap is Case Depart, a hilarious comedy about two half-brothers who are unexpectedly thrown back in time, facing challenges they never saw coming. Enjoy the ride. The movie begins with a powerful scene at an auction where two stylishly dressed black men are being sold, chained by their necks. The setting resembles a slave market. From there, the story takes us back in time to explore the lives of two half-brothers, Regis and Joel, who come from the West Indies and lead very different lives. Joel is a black man who recently completed a prison sentence for stealing an elderly woman's purse. He currently resides with his mother and 9-year-old daughter. Despite facing challenges in finding employment, Joel attributes his joblessness to racism. However, he has not made significant efforts to actively seek work. In contrast, Regis is a biracial man who is married to a white woman and shares a 9-year-old daughter with her. He resides in a prosperous town and is fully integrated into the upper-class society. Regis works at the local town hall as an assistant to the mayor, and one day he receives a phone call from his uncle informing him that his father, that he does not see for many years, is dying, and his final wish to meet all his children. Regis disregards his deadbeat father as he was not a present father when Regis was a child. While Regis is having dinner with his family, his lunatic wife threatens to have sex with other men if Regis does not comply with his father's last wish. Jumped to that threat awfully quickly, left with no other choice, he reluctantly says yes. The next day, Regis takes a flight back to his hometown where his father lives. At the airport, he meets Joel, who has also come to see their father. The brothers, who have lost contact for more than 10 years, put their differences aside and get a taxi together. While in the taxi on their way home, Joel tells Regis about his successful life, while Regis lies to cover up his embarrassment life. When they arrive their father's home, they are introduced to their aunt and many other half-sisters. They find out that their dad ventured throughout the world and had babies with countless women. This explains why Joel and Regis have somehow different skin color. The old man's eyes light up when he sees his only 2 male sons before him. He starts by telling Regis and Joel that they will inherit an enormous treasure. This excites both brothers, and they eagerly wait to hear about the treasure. However, to their dismay, all they receive as inheritance is the document of emancipation of their ancestors. This document was handed over to a few slaves by their owners for some extraordinary work or act. Apparently, Regis and Joel's ancestors were granted freedom long before slavery was legally abolished in the West Indies. However, not concerned about the symbolic value of this piece of paper, they scoff at the inheritance. They then tear the paper up under the disapproving eye of their late father's sister. As expected, this enrages the old woman, so she decides to teach them a lesson as she casts a voodoo spell on them and sends them back to the 17th century, where slavery is still prevalent. In the next scene, when Regis and Joel wake up, they find themselves stripped down to their designer underwear in an open field. As the two wonder about what happened, a couple of terrified black people will run past them. Just then, 2 slave hunters also arrive and capture the slaves. Both brothers are then taken to a slave market and sold to Monsieur Jordan, a landowner. Jordan entrusts Joel to the farms, where he will work under the care of Henri, a brutal and deeply racist foreman, while Regis is sent to the kitchens of the residents. Soon the half-brothers realize that they have been transported back to the year 1780, a time when the institution of slavery was still prevalent. The following day, the slaves are compelled to listen to a priest who reads them a fabricated Bible, preaching about the obedience of black people towards whites. However, since the educated slaves are the only ones, aside from the whites, who can read, they vehemently reject the teachings presented in the text. The priest is taken aback when Regis unexpectedly reads a line from the book. Later, Joel arrives late to the field and is accidentally hit by Henry. Frustrated with Henry's torment and behavior, Joel decides to make a run for it and escape the farm. Unfortunately, he ends up hitting his head on a pole and knocks himself unconscious. As a consequence of his actions, he is publicly punished that night. Meanwhile, Regis is summoned to Jordan's office, where his reading ability is recognized. Jordan praises him for being a very smart slave and allow him the privilege to start controlling other slaves with Henri. In the meantime, Joel's wounds are getting treated by a female slave called Rosalie. It has been only 5 minutes, but Joel has already started liking, and at an opportune moment he leans in for a kiss only to get turned down. Rosalie explained that she loves a fellow slave called Isidore, much to Joel's disappointment. The next day, Regis starts out his new duty and starts ordering and commanding other slaves to do properly their work. Joel is in disbelief to see his brother acting like a white person and criticizes him for acting like this. However, Regis does not care, and he keeps to be loyal to his new masters and reports his work day to Monsieur Jordan. Everyone in the White House finds out about Regis's ability to read and starts making fun of him. They also joke if can play piano, and to everyone's surprise, Regis plays the piano perfectly, however. This results in him getting whipped by the white racists. Finally, fed up, Regis desires to escape, and the following morning, the two brothers make their getaway from the plantation by discreetly boarding the carriage of a Jewish man named Isaac. Upon arriving at Isaac's residence, he approaches them and discloses that he was aware of their presence. The brothers were pleasantly surprised when Isaac showed them great hospitality and care, despite the discrimination faced by Jews. Monsieur Jordan's henchmen arrive at Isaac's home in search of the two brothers. Sensing danger, Regis and Joel bid Isaac farewell and quickly escape through the back door. They make their way to the shoreline, where they find an abandoned boat and set sail into the vast ocean. Ironically, their journey leads them to cross paths with a ship used for transporting slaves to auctions. Unfortunately, they are captured and imprisoned. Eventually, the Gross-to-Seer brothers find themselves in the same slave market, where they are purchased by Jordan's henchmen. However, their luck takes a turn for the better as they are saved by an African tribe known as the Maroons. It is revealed that the tribe members were once slaves themselves, but they managed to escape their owners. The brothers are warmly welcomed into the tribe and join in their chants, except for Regis, who, being married to a white girl, hesitates when the Maroons discuss killing white individuals. This enrages the tribe and they quickly turn on the brothers. But fortunately, Regis and Joel manage to outrun the tribe and reach safety. The next day, the two find themselves in an unknown place where they see their aunt who cast a spell on them. The brothers soon realize that it was she who is responsible for sending them back in time. They plead with her to remove the spell and mention that they will do anything for it. Initially, the old woman refuses, but when the brothers keep pleading, she gives them a hint. She tells them that the only way for them to get back to the present is to reach the plantation again and reunite their ancestors Isidore and Rosalie. She also tells them to rectify the error without elaborating any further. She's probably referring to Joel, trying to make out with his great-great-grandmother. Before disappearing, the woman leaves behind her special pipe and instructs the brothers to smoke it when they have successfully completed their mission. As the two are brainstorming ways to tackle the situation, Joel recalls witnessing Isidore engaging in a questionable act with another man, capturing the incident on his phone and sharing the video with Regis. The two brothers are convinced that Isidore is homosexual and mistakenly think that this is the issue they need to address in the next scene. Joel and Regis return back to the plantation. They try to negotiate with Monsieur Jordan on their punishment, but it doesn't work out for them. Instead, they get branded with a sigil of the plantation. They then return to their huts and begin to plan their course of action. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, the Whites are celebrating the wedding party of Monsieur Jordan's daughter. Taking this as the perfect distraction, the brothers organize a party of their own for the slaves. They secretly steal a barrel of rum from the distillery to intoxicate and to activate the romance between Isidore and Rosalie. However, their plan hits a roadblock when Regis spots Joel making out with Rosalie due to his infatuation with her. Afterwards, the two brothers improvise and physically help the couple have intercourse. As they're asleep, once this is done, they're convinced that their mission there is accomplished. Believing that they can go home whenever they like, the brothers decide to take revenge on the Whites. They then make their way into the mansion armed, where they humiliate everyone. Joel kisses the daughter of Monsieur Jordan, whereas Regis starts damaging furniture and even slaps a white man. All of a sudden, Henry enters the room with a gun and threatens the brothers. Regis and Joel, undeterred, keep on using the pipe, but to their disappointment, nothing happens when they smoke it. The old lady's magical pipe seemed to have been swapped with a normal one. As a consequence of their actions, they are trapped in a cage, waiting execution the following day. During the night, the brothers become overwhelmed with emotions and begin reflecting on the decisions they have made in their lives. Regis talks about his failing marriage while Joe confesses that he is broke and has no job. After a few hours, as the brothers have compassion with each other, Henry arrives and takes them out to the field where they're supposed to be hanged. However, before the execution, Monsieur Jordan's son Victor runs off into the forest as he cannot bear watching the sight. Rosalie chases after him and soon finds out that he has fallen into a river that is nearby. All family panics and run to the river. However, Isidore takes advantage of them situation and saves the brothers, knocking out Henry in the process. He then orders them to run for their lives, to which they oblige. As the brothers flee, they come across Victor, who is being swept by the stream. Without hesitating, the two jump into the dangerous river. But to Regis's surprise, Joel can't swim, and this makes his task even more difficult. But somehow, he manages to save both his brother and Victor. Grateful to the brothers for saving his son's life, Life Monsieur Jordan sets them free. The brothers are also awarded with the very same document of emancipation that they were provided by their late father Howe. However, tied of accepting the freedom and the award, they request Monsieur Jordan to free Isidore and Rosalie and present them with the document. The Monsieur finds the request very strange, but he obliges. In this way, the brothers have managed to free Isidore and Rosalie, but don't know where to find the magic pipe that will help them return back to the modern age. As days keep passing, they slowly begin to accept that they may never return to their time. One day, Rosalie and Isidore wish the brothers goodbye and leave the plantation with the papers. As the two watch them leave, Henri approaches them and orders them to get back to work. He then takes out his pipe and starts smoking. When he tries to humiliate the brothers by blowing smoke to their faces, they suddenly disappear. Much to the astonishment of Henri, this indicates that Henri was the one who stole the pipe from them. In the next scene, the brothers return back to the present, where they see their aunt beside them. When they see her holding the original document in her hand, Regis and Joel become relieved. As several months pass by, Joel finds a regular job on a construction site where he still complains about his minimum wage and that it has to do with him being black. Meanwhile, Regis returns to his work at the town hall one day. As he is about to leave his office, he greets the mayor, who passes a racist joke. As Regis no longer is the person he once was, decides to confront the mayor before storming off. The movie then cuts to Regis and his wife, along with Joel and his mother, chatting in Regis's living room. They all agree that the adventure they had brought them closer as a family. However, an argument between their respective daughters leads to the tearing of the document of emancipation. The movie concludes with a frantic scene as the two brothers rush towards their daughters,